The first step to build this automation is to have a Google Forms. If you already have one, great. If not, you can create one. There is also Google Gemini AI assistants, where you can describe the form in natural language and then it creates all the fields and you can change them as needed. You can see here there is a different range of fields. If you select options, some long text checkbox, and the responses are stored in the Google Sheet if needed, but that's not necessary. Once the form is done, we can all build a Notion database, aka data source. That's the table that will store the formula. That's the table that would store the form responses automatically. And the table can have the same fields as the form to store the responses, and then additional fields maybe for internal operating processes that you might have to analyze and address the responses in the form. It can also be related to other data sources that you have in your Notion workspace, such as in my example where I linked via a relation property the contacts data source. That's where the people in the network as a CRM system, so that form responses can be associated with contacts very easily. And then that contact information can stay in its own data source, just like this, with some specific properties. Also in Notion, you can use Notion AI to build the database if you wish, just by describing what you need. You can build it by yourself. As per usual, in the settings, you can show or hide properties in here. You can add properties directly from the panel or directly from inside the page when you open it. And you can also customize the layout, both inside of the page and in terms of views of those responses in the data source. I'm not going into details regarding this because it's outside of the scope of this video. I made a video in the past explaining the database settings in Notion in detail. In Notion data sources, you can also have AI properties. You might have a text property here that analyzes sentiment, for example. You can do AI autofill, select an option, and then you might summarize, translate, key info, or custom autofill, and you can define what's the sentiment. And then if I try, you can see here is some text, but if I want to adjust the length, for example, then I can specify this better in the instructions, for example, by specifying that I just want one word, positive, negative, or neutral. Otherwise, I can keep it like this. The final thing that you need is an automation. For that, we can use make, and you can see the trigger is Google Forms watch responses. I can set a certain frequency for this trigger. If you want the webhook-based trigger, so that is immediate processing of the data, you might use the Google Sheets trigger and set up the webhook in the Google Sheet that contains the responses from the Google Form. But if you use a Google Forms module, then you can set up your account, select the form ID, and set a limit. The limit is how many responses are processed for each automation run, because if you set the interval every 15 minutes, for example, within that time window, there might be multiple people submitting the form. And that's why if you want to limit that, you can specify it here. This is required, but you can set any number really. So when a form is submitted, this is what the data looks like. You get answers as a collection, and then each question has the answers within it. If it is a multi-select, such as which session did you attend, then the answers key is an array that contains all the values selected, which might be one or multiple ones. If it is text, such as the email address or full name, then that is the value nested within text answers, like so. The second step would be to search the contact, because we want to find out if the person who submitted this form already exists in our CRM. And if it does, then we can directly create the form answer and link that person there. But if the person is not in our CRM yet, then we can create the contact and finally create the form response in the database and link that contact properly. So to search the contact, we use a search objects module using the data source ID from the contacts data source. To find the data source ID in Notion, we can navigate to the database, then click on the settings, select manage data sources. And then in here, there will be all the data sources or tables within the database. And on the three dots, we can copy the data source ID, and let's find out the data source ID. Once that is input in here, I'm filtering to match the contact by email. So the email must equal the email answer provided in the form that's nested right here, and then I mapped easily from here. So we search the contact by email, and then there are two options. Either the contact doesn't exist or the contact already exists. If the contact doesn't exist, then we filter here after a router, page ID doesn't exist, and then we create the contact. That's a create a data source item module. So again, I input the data source ID right here, and then I map the name of the contact, the email address from the form, and if there are any other properties you use that you want to pre-populate, you can do that easily here. Then I use a set a variable module and the contact ID mapped from the database item ID from the previous module here. I call this variable Notion contact ID, and I use this because then in the next route, which always runs and is the second route in the order, we can use the get variable module to retrieve the same value, the Notion contact ID that was set here if the contact didn't exist. But if the contact already existed, then we get the page ID directly here in the search objects module. So this one will be empty when the contact doesn't exist, which is okay. Because then, either way, we will create the form response by creating a data source item. This time, the data source ID is the event feedback survey data source that I showed you earlier in Notion. And then we can map all the fields from the form. So the full name is a text answer, pretty easy. Topics of interest is a multi-select. So because that's an array of values, we need to map each value like so. So I use the map function, and then I map the topics of interest, which is this one here, answers. That's the array mapped here. And then the second argument of the map function is the value, because answers contains value as the nested key that contains all the specific values selected by the user, which might be one or multiple ones. That's why I use the map function to properly map all the values in the topics of interest so they display properly in the Notion multi-select property. I do the same for the session attended property, which is also a multi-select property. When it comes to the contact, this is a relation property, which means it requires a page ID from the related data source. So I use the if empty function, specifying that if the Notion contact ID variable is empty, then I use the page ID because it means the contact already exists and it wasn't created. So the variable is empty, and I can use the existing contact as the page ID related to the form response. This makes sure that there are no duplicates in your contacts data source. Would attend again is a checkbox in Notion, but it is a text value in the Google form. So that's why I'm using a formula that says if the would you attend this event again answer contains yes, then set the checkbox value to true, which means the checkbox will be checked in Notion. Otherwise, set it to false, which means the checkbox will remain empty, unchecked in Notion. Thank you for watching this video. To learn more about the topic, check out the description where you can find relevant links. If you wish to work together, please contact me via the dedicated link in the description of the video. And see you in the next one, where I will be exploring some major updates to Notion